Hi, welcome to my podcast entitled The Wright Experience. I'm Dr. William T. Wright Jr., the founder and host of this show. I'm now beginning my 9th year as a school superintendent and my 24th as a public school educator. Over those years, I've been fortunate enough to get to know and work with some amazing leaders all across the United States. The vision of this show is to share these podcasts with you so that we can learn from people who are leading others every day. I want to thank you very much for continuing to support this show. Please continue to share with others and spread the word. That helps me tremendously. When you hear something that you like, please drop us a comment, click like, or if you're viewing us via YouTube, please click like, comment, and most importantly, click that subscribe button. In my travels, I've learned that we have a growing audience, and for that, I'm grateful. This is episode 24 of The Wright Experience. My guest tonight is an author of children's literature. She's also a tremendous motivational speaker. She's authored some African-American history writings as well, and is currently a professor at Clemson University in Clemson, South Carolina, amongst other educational leadership endeavors. I met her many years ago when she was completing an internship through the University of North Carolina, and she was completing her undergraduate degree. She served part of her internship during my days as a radio broadcaster. What a long way we both have come since those days. My guest tonight is Dr. Kimberly Pearson Johnson. Children's author and educator Dr. Kimberly P. Johnson grew up in Shelby, North Carolina. She is married to Jeff Johnson, who retired from the United States Air Force after 22 years of service. She's the author of 22 children's books. Kimberly received her doctorate in curriculum teaching and leadership from Northeastern University in Boston, Massachusetts. She holds a master's degree from Clemson University in youth development and leadership. Kimberly has an early childhood education degree and communications degree from University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. She completed her postdoctorate work in the Advanced Leadership Program at Harvard University's Graduate School of Education. And most recently, she completed a certificate in diversity and inclusion at Cornell University. Kimberly is a creative thinker and has a passion for teaching and helping others. She is currently teaching at Clemson University. She teaches creative activities for youth and also teaches working with diverse youth. Dr. Johnson also teaches creative writing for social change at Clinton College and is a course facilitator for the Leading, Learning, and Managing Evidence courses at Harvard University in the Graduate School of Education. Kimberly has received numerous community awards to include the Paul Harris Fellow Award given by Rotary International for her work in literacy, the York County Citizen of the Year Award, the 2016 Walker Solomon Award from the South Carolina Educators Association, the Omega Psi Phi Perseverance Award, the Carl Carpenter Gold Heart Award for Community and Educational Contributions, and the National Heritage Award. She's also been the guest reader for President and Mrs. George Bush at the White House for the annual Easter egg roll. She's been on Today's Show in New York City, interviewed by the London Times and the Tokyo Shimbun newspapers, and her most recent book, No Fear for Freedom, the story of the Friendship Nine, gained national and international recognition when she spearheaded the efforts to have the sentences overturned for a group of men, the Friendship Nine, who conducted a sit-in 1961 at a segregated lunch counter in Rock Hill, South Carolina. Kimberly is an ambassador also for the King Center in Atlanta and a program collaborator for Dr. Bernice King, the last living daughter of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. She is currently also the curriculum design specialist for the King Center in Atlanta. Kimberly is a member of the Rock Hill alumni chapter of Delta Sigma Theta sorority. And above all of her accomplishments, she says the greatest joy is knowing that her grandparents taught her what good character looked like and raised her to believe in God and in self. So it, of course, is my honor at this time to welcome to the show Dr. Kimberly Pearson Johnson. How How about that? I
Thank
got
you.
it all in there.
You put that Pearson in there. That's right.
I did.
Gotta give a shout out to my hometown people.
There you go. There you go. So I'm honored to
Oh,
have you on the show. Certainly have been waiting for this moment. Certainly proud of you and all of your accomplishments. And I'm excited about my audience meeting you and learning a little bit more about you and your contributions to society and to the educational platform in particular. So let's jump right into the questions. Your work as an author and motivational speaker has literally taken you all across the United States. And of course, I've read also internationally. Yet you've now ventured into 2 professorships, maybe 3. So what brought about that decision and how are you enjoying it?
well, Dr. William Wright Jr., you and I both started a different path and course than we are right now. I was going to be a television talk show hostess. I was going to rule the waves. I was going to get into radio, do all this fun stuff. And communications was really where my heart was all those years ago. And then I got into it, and you taught me so much. You're not giving yourself enough credit, but you don't even know the nuggets that you taught me along the way. But when I got into television, I realized that probably wasn't where my passion was, because I really wanted to do something that could help create change. And, my grandfather growing up in a small town with grandparents who could barely read or write themselves. And they always told me, if you get it up here, nobody can take it from you. And I just never forgot the value of education. So somewhere that stuck inside of me. And I just kind of kept following the path of, I got to get my education. That's really what I want to continue to do. And I wanted to be able to impart that on others, just like people had done in my life. So education was really what was ordained and appointed for my life, I think. So I'm excited about it.
Awesome. And so Clemson and Clinton College and some work also with Harvard. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's pretty full plate.
It is. I love teaching, though. When people say, what do you do? I say, I teach. And I've been very blessed to be able, I did my master's at Clemson, and I was able to go back and teach in the same department that I got my master's in. So that was truly a blessing to be able to be an instructor there in that program. And then I went and did my postdoc work at Harvard through the CALE program, which is the Educational Leadership Program. And I was able to go back as a course facilitator. So I'm very honored and blessed, and, got to have my HBCUs in there because there's power in that. And so I had the opportunity to come on board with Clinton College and work with them and do the creative writing for social change. So I really do love what I do. A lot of people say I like my job. I can really honestly say I love my jobs.
Good. Awesome. So occasionally we'll run into folks who say, I'm interested in writing a book.
Mm-hmm.
So what advice would you give to people who aspire to be an author? Maybe not 22 books like you've written, but.
Oh, I'm blessed. That's what I can say about that. That was never on my bucket list of things to do, but I've really been blessed to be able to follow that passion. But what I would say to people who want to do it is that it is definitely not for the faint of heart. You have to do writing every day. I tell people, I don't care if you write, the sky is blue, write something every day, because the more you write, the better you become. And it really is something where you have to do more than just put words on a piece of paper. You have to internalize and feel what you are writing. And the key is, don't let a no letter be your end all be all, because if you submit it and you don't get accepted the first time around through a traditional publisher, then there are so many other avenues you can go through to write your own story and tell your story. And every single one of us has a story to tell. So I would say definitely stick with it. Practice your craft every single day and don't give up.
Awesome. So let's talk a little bit about the pandemic. That's a hot topic right now. The pandemic, of course, has brought about many changes to life as we know it, even in the world of education. So what lessons do you believe that we should learn from those changes that have taken place moving forward?
Well, none of us can really say that we've ever lived or taught through a pandemic. So
Right.
we are going to walk away from this with knowledge that we never thought we had, and we do now. So I think it has challenged us, as horrific as this has been. I think it has challenged us, particularly as educators, to think more deeply about how we can impact our families and our children. So things that we never had to be challenged to do before. How many of us actually taught online? I mean, a whole day of teaching online. So I think it's challenged us to change the way that we do things. It has made us realize that we can't get too comfortable in our rote routines of doing things, that we have to change it up, and we have to really get creative. We all have a degree of creativity, but so often we don't tap into it the way we need to. This has forced us to tap into our creativity, not only as educators, but also as leaders too. So as horrible as this has been, we have been able to say that we did get a deeper understanding of self, hopefully, and how we can impact the world in multiple ways.
Yeah, and I think we all prior to the pandemic thought that blended learning, we call it now, was coming. I just don't know that we thought it was coming this quickly. And in my time teaching my adjunct class over at Clemson University, I had students that were virtual as well as students in the classroom. And like you said, that was an adjustment. I was able to come back and tell my teachers, now I know what you're experiencing.
It's different. And I've also learned it's a challenge to try to teach ABCs to kindergartners and pre-K on a computer screen. So that made me have to step up my game. So it's interesting, but I think, again, we are learning how to teach in a richer and deeper way. So that's a good thing, I guess.
That's right. I hope that we don't lose those skills. If we ever get back to some semblance of normalcy,
we will. Yes.
But I'm hoping that we'll continue to hone those skills, because that's the way of the future. We need to be able to deliver diverse learning, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And what I think too is going to be interesting when we get back into our normal routine is how teachers or even leaders are going to respond to the new normal that we've created. I think that we're going to understand that we're going to have to teach in different ways when we all get back together inside the classroom as well, that it just won't be the same things we've done before. And we're going to have to get back into that hands-on teaching and learning, because kids have, gotten burnt out, I think, over this time with computers and all of the things they've had to do that way of learning. So we're really going to have to roll up our sleeves and get in there and start teaching from the heart and really engaging our learners so they can walk out of that classroom more prepared for how to deal with the world at large.
Absolutely. So, Dr. Johnson, I am going to go here. There is significant discussion going on right now regarding the relevance of African American history. All we have to do is turn on the TV now, and all of a sudden it seems like the government is concerned, I'll use that word lightly, about African American history. So what are your thoughts on those discussions that are being had?
I think we have to make sure that all history is taught, and our kids need to understand who they are. I often get into a conversation with people when they say, well, I just don't know what's happening to our young people today. What in the world? I tell people all the time, we are happening to them. And we have to own what we have done or have not done as adults to help make sure that our kids know who they are. And, and I often say, if they knew they were kings and queens, we could hold them to that standard if they knew. But we're not teaching our kids to the degree of knowing really who they are. I think we've watered it down quite a bit, and I'm just going to be honest. You asked, so I'm talking. I think we've watered it down quite a bit. I think we're not really getting in there teaching the truth of true history. We give bits and pieces. And I say, if you're going to tell the story, you got to tell the whole story so that our kids really understand, and that not just Black and brown children, but all children understand. And history is not and should not be relegated to 1 month or 1 week or, couple of days. It is all the time. For me, Black history is 365 days a year because I am always living in it. And I also tell my educators, become apprised of what you are teaching in that classroom. You learn it too, because I'm always learning stuff. I've learned over the last year when I've actually had some time to dig into it and delve. I've learned about my own history as a Black woman in America that I never knew about my history. So we're constantly learning. And to me, that's something that should be engaging to all of us. And I often say, we can't teach what we don't know. So if you don't understand the history yourself, you can't be in charge of teaching it. So we all are students of the history and the knowledge, but we've got to be able to not be afraid of it, and to know that it is a part of who we are, and it has made us and makes us even greater every single day. And we should learn about all of our history, not be afraid of it, because truth, you shouldn't be afraid of truth, right? So we need to know the truth so we can make informed decisions about where we go in our next phase of life and how we continue to impact our young people. And our young people need to know truth, because they've been shaded long enough. So it's time that we know the truth of our history and the history of our country.
And it's truly, as you said, it's truly about informing and not indoctrinating.
Right,
I think
right,
that's the thing that people are getting confused. It's not about
absolutely
trying to indoctrinate anybody, but it is about informing so that people can know who they are. I absolutely agree.
And it's the truth. I mean, if it were something where you said, well, you're saying this, but it's not really quite true, we're talking things that are absolutely true. But, you know, sometimes people may be afraid of truth because truth can be scary sometimes. And I think it makes us see the parts of us that we don't want to remember or recognize. So as long as we are open to the idea of just looking at things through different lens, understanding that our points of view are going to be different, I think we're okay learning as much as we can about history, because there's some parts of history that I don't like, but I have to be open-minded so I can understand at least what it is and then make informed decisions from that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Dr. Johnson, you do, I've noticed, I've watched you for years and years and years. A lot of years. You do a tremendous job of motivating others to be better.
I try.
What or who motivates you?
Well, you know, I always say this, William, you know, God is the center of my life. And I couldn't have this conversation without making sure that's clear, that, you know, he encourages me to get up and do this work, because this is God work. You know, it's good work, God work. You know, that's how I look at it, because anytime we have the ability to impact someone else's mind and heart, that gives us a strong position to have. So we've got to make sure that we're taking it seriously. So every time I have an opportunity to impact young people, whether they're little kids or my college kids or adult learners, you know, I have to take that seriously, because I could be the person who encourages someone to do something great in their life. Or if I don't take the time to talk to them, I may discourage them by just not taking that extra couple of minutes. So I take it very seriously when I'm talking to people and imparting on them. But my strength comes from that spiritual inner. I had grandparents who were just incredible role models for my life. You know, my husband is my backbone support. You know, he lets me, I tell people he lets me fly my magic carpet wherever I want to go. And he's there, you know, to catch me if I fall or to keep fanning it so I can go further. So I have a lot of people. My college kids inspire me. You know, they keep me lifted up, and they challenge me to keep thinking deeper. And they ask lots of questions that I don't know the answers to, because I don't know a lot of stuff, but I love learning. So I've got a lot of people. You know, you inspire me, and you know, you laugh when I tell you, but you just don't know when I was coming up during that time, because I wasn't sure what I was going to do with my life. You know, as a college kid, you think you know what you want to do, but you're not sure. And you really allow me to make mistakes, because I'm sure I made your job harder than easier some days. But you allowed me, and you poured into me, and you may not even know that you poured into me. But whenever I would ask you a question, you answered that question, you would help me think deeper about it. So you were just a good friend. And I think people need truly good friends, or to be surrounded with inspirations, and whether it comes from your spiritual belief or just the people that you meet along the way. So it's not just an answer to that, but it's a compilation of things that came together that encourage me every day. And I do it because I have a passion for it.
Wow. All right. Thank you for the shameless plug too. I appreciate it.
It's true. It's true.
I do appreciate that. Appreciate you saying that. And I continue to be very, very proud of you and all the wonderful work that you've done. So what sources do you depend on for inspiration and knowledge? You've already talked about folks. Any other sources that you look at to
I read a lot. I'm always trying to find new materials to read, something that I can dig into. I am always looking for, as you can see here, I don't know if you can see, but on my wall here is Angela Davis behind me. I'm always encouraging myself with people and pictures and words. My house is full of words. So I'll wake up and everywhere I look, there's something that reminds me. Here's another thing. I'm going to step away one quick second.
Okay.
Picture is on my a desk in my office, and it's a picture of my great-great-grandparents, and they were one generation away from slavery. And so whenever I get up in the morning and I say I don't feel like, or I don't want to, like we do because we're human beings, I'll look at this picture and I'll say, hush, get out there and do what you need to do, because lest I forget. So you need something that's going to remind you and that's going to inspire you to keep doing it, even on the days you don't feel like it, because there will be those days. But if you just keep working hard and looking for those nuggets of inspiration, whether it's in a book, whether it's in your Bible, whether it's on your wall or a picture, or picture in a frame, look for those opportunities to be inspired, because I think when we look for them, we find them. But if we just go through with blinders, we never get inspired, and then we blame everybody else because we haven't done what we wanted to in life. But we have to take ownership of some of that and learn to encourage ourselves.
Awesome. And you're giving me some. I need to get some of those pictures and put them up.
That's right. That will inspire you.
See how much you're teaching me? How about that?
We're teaching each other, my friend.
How about that? So what tips do you believe educators need moving forward to be successful for this year and beyond? Educational leaders, yes, but just educators in general.
Well, there are three things I'm going to impart on you. You know, I got a bunch, but I'm going to give you three little good things. Number one is talk the positive. When those babies come into your space, you got to start pouring into them that positivity, not just, what are you doing? Why didn't you get this done? Why are you talking? Because that's the natural, that default that we have when we are trying to get something done. But if we just start talking the positive and igniting the atmosphere with, I'm so excited you're here. We're going to have a fantastic day. I know you're going to learn so much, and I'm going to learn from you. So really just talking the positive. The second thing I would say would be powerful is making sure that we are getting our kids, and I don't care if they're little kids or all the way up to high school or beyond, get them moving in that space. You know, education becomes flat sometimes, where it's just PowerPoints, computers, or handouts. You know, you got to make it come to life. And I think educators really want to do that, but sometimes they don't get to because there's so many other demands on their day. But I would say get up and move those kids as much as you can. You know, research tells us that in order for our kids to internalize information, the cognitive to grow, we got to really fan the creative. So getting them up out of that seat, moving around, making sure that they are engaging with peers in a safe way, because we're going to have to do it a little bit differently now than we have in the past, but that's still no reason that we can't do it in a safe manner. So talk the positive, get them up moving and engaging in conversation. And I would say, you know, that humanities and culture, because even if you are living in a homogenous setting where you don't have many kids that look different from you, then you still have to pull in that creative information so that they can learn about culture. So I would say teachers really need to be culturally aware and culturally responsive, because a lot of the issues that we see outside of our space is because people don't know how to interact with each other. They don't know how to get along with people. Sometimes they don't know how to get along with people that do look like them. But think of the challenges when they have to learn different cultures, religions, or genders, or even those kinds of things. So talk the positive, get them up moving, and be culturally relevant in that space. And they will have a fantastic year, because those 3 nuggets will definitely keep them engaged for the whole year.
I love it. I love it. That's great motivational nuggets for us moving forward. That's outstanding. I like that. So what's next on the agenda for Dr. Kimberly Pearson? What's next on the agenda?
You know, I got so much stuff. You know, I keep thinking that I'm going to take a break. You know, I'm just going to chill, do my teaching and write a couple books and be done. And every time I think that that's it, God's got a different route he wants me to go, but I'm not complaining. I'm just whining sometimes. And I think that's a normal response, but I get up and do it every day anyway. I've been so blessed to be, to work with the King Center and to be under the tutelage of Dr. Bernice A. King. She's a phenomenal person. She's a great inspiration. And I've had the opportunity to work for her probably for the last 9-10 years. And now we've come to a culmination where we are going to have a book that we have co-written together. It's called It Starts With Me. And that book will just continue her whole Be Love movement, which is going to be just that, a global movement to inspire people to build that beloved community that Dr. and Mrs. King talked about during their journey as advocates and allies for all people. And so she's really taken the helm of that, and she's running with it. And I'm just glad to be attached to it. I'm going to pour my heart and soul into it, and I'm going to do everything that we can to continue this mission of the beloved community, because I think it's going to change things. She has a passion for it. She knows that it's going to be a needed time for it right now in the heartbeat of it. And she's pouring her energy and her resources from the work that she's doing into it. And I'm just happy to be a part of it. I want to create that kind of change, because William, when it's all said and done, the question is going to be, what did you do that helped create change in the world? And I pray this every morning. I always say, Lord, help me make today better than yesterday. And that's all we can hope for. You know, there's nothing else that matters more than what we can leave for our young people, to give them that inspiration, because one day we're not going to be able to be here to inspire and lead them. So we've got to know that they are able to do it themselves, because I want leaders to lead us, leaders, strong people, mentally, physically, and emotionally strong to lead us. And we can do that. Pour into them and you'll get that good stuff back.
And it's so desperately needed right now in these times. Yeah. There seems to be a lot of energy in divisiveness. So anything we can do to bring folks together.
That is true.
That's tremendous work. That's great. Yeah. So sounds like you got a full plate ahead of you as well.
I'm ready. Let's create change in the world.
There you go. So, Dr. Johnson, is there anything else that you'd like to share about the work you're doing that I have not covered in our show tonight?
I would just say, you know, to people that are listening, know that there is something that you can do to create change in the world. Know that you are internally a leader. You may not have ignited it yet, but it's in you. If there is something you've ever thought you wanted to do, that you have this P in the back of your mind that says, you know, I'd like to be an author, or I'd like to be a leader, or I'd like to go back to school, any of that stuff, you can do that. You just got to just figure out what it is that you need to do. Get yourself prepared. Surround yourself with people that are going to encourage you, and start pursuing those dreams, because, you know, life is so quick and so fast. You know, you wake up and then 20 years have passed. You wake up, 30 years have passed. So we've got to take and live in the moment and be inspired by the moment we're in, and know that you have the capacity to do and be whatever you choose. Pray about it, find the direction and surround yourself with the people that can help you get there, and you're going to be just fine. Everybody is a leader.
Outstanding, outstanding. I think everybody sees now why I wanted so desperately to get you on our show. Great words to live by. Thank you very much.
Thank you, my
If
friend.
you hold on with me just for a minute, we'll come
Okay.
back and close the show out.
Okay, sounds good.
My guest next week will be Mr. Jasmine Spain, who is a vice president of academic services at Pitt Community College in North Carolina. Mr. Spain also does some tremendous mentoring work with African-American males that we'll discuss on next week. I look forward to the experience, and I hope that you'll join me. That is Thursday, August 26th at 7:00 p.m. Dr. Johnson, I just want to take this opportunity to thank you very much from the bottom of my heart for being a part of the Wright Experience and this podcast. I want to thank you for the tremendous work that you do, not only through your children's books, and that's tremendous work within itself, but also the work that you're doing with universities, as well as the work that you're doing with Dr. King and the impact that it is already having and that you will continue to have. I'm extremely proud of you and proud to know you. And
thank you, my friend. Likewise. And thank you for getting this information out here so that people can see, different leaders. When I started looking back on some of the people that you've invited, I'm just like, wow, this is good. This is good. So thank you for sharing this and for making that connection, that networking piece, because that is critical to the process. The more we can network, the more we can learn and know. So thank you for taking your time to do this as well.
Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. And thank you to the audience for viewing the Wright Experience. Good evening.
Bye.